Our other topic for today, which Adam and I were supposed to talk about, was whether or not the Yankees needed to break it down or they needed to tinker. Adam was going to argue that they needed to break it all down, especially if they struggled in the Seattle series. I don't know how he feels now. I was going to argue, and I will continue to argue, that they need to tinker along the same lines that I spoke about last week, where the Yankees, and I talked about the Yankees' need for a third base player and who they should get and why they should get the certain players that they get, and talked about Austin Wells being the guy that they should use as the catcher, and that Rice is their best trade bait, and that Lombard would be the best internal solution with regard to third base, and Eugenio Suarez, who, right after I started talking about it, out of the blue now, the Yankees are in the Suarez sweepstakes. I don't know what it'll take to get a rental player of that caliber, but Suarez is having a career year as he is about to approach free agency. Yes, his batting average is 251. His on base is only 320, but his slugging is 563. And he has 104 strikeouts and 375 plate appearances, which is over a 25% strikeout rate. But he does have 29 homers and 75 RBIs, coming off a 30 and 101 year last year, where he also batted 256 and had a similar on base percentage. And his slugging was actually less last year because he did not have as many hits as he is looking to have this season for some reason. But Suarez, that would be the only third baseman that I think would be acceptable based on what I talked about last week. I wouldn't mind Lombard getting the job and letting him play there every day. Let's see what he has, and then in the offseason, figure out whether or not Lombard's your shortstop or Volpe is your shortstop, and then play the third base game, because there is tremendous amount of competition for third basemen that are out there. The teams that are looking for a third baseman are Seattle, Toronto, the Dodgers potentially, depending on Muncy's injury, um, the Twins, the Rays, who probably will not look to add a third baseman. Possibly the Mets will be in play for looking at a third baseman, as well as the Brewers, who are looking for a third baseman and are either going to be buyers or sellers. The Brewers, you can never tell which direction they're going to go. So we'll see what happens there. And, you know, you never know what the Orioles are going to do. They have some players that they might want to deal. So we will see. The Yankees did release DJ, which is something that I was surprised that they did. They decided to release DJ instead of DFAing Peraza, and I'm glad they did that because I think Peraza at least serves a purpose as a defensive specialist, whereas DJ was providing next to, if not absolutely nothing, to the team. So what I want to talk about next, besides that third base debacle that they have going on right now, and moving Jazz to second, which is something we were all behind, everybody that I know that's a Yankee fan was behind, was talking about what do the Yankees need on the pitching staff. Well, pitching staff-wise, obviously on the starter side, they've got Fried, Rodon, and Schmidt. Those three guys, Fried, Rodon, and nobody now because Schmidt is done for the season. Warren, still showing lots of potential, but do you want him starting a playoff game? It's kind of scary. Heel is coming off an injury. We'd think he'll be back in August. Who knows? We shall see what happens. And Stroman, who we know is a stopgap at best. And then we have Holy Schlittler, as the New York Post said. Is he for real? Threw the sixth hardest pitches of any Yankee pitcher during the entire season by hitting 100 several times. So it looks like the Yankees are in definite need of a starting pitcher at this point, with the Schmidt injury making that an absolute. So what's out there in the marketplace with regard to starting pitchers? Well, you've got two guys on the Arizona Diamondbacks with regard to Merrill Kelly, who is having a decent year, 7-5, 3.41, which are the stats nobody cares about. He's pitched 111 innings. He's allowed only 88 hits, and he has struck out 107, which is almost a strikeout an inning. He does not really walk guys. He's got 29 walks for the season, 13 home runs. He does play in Arizona where the ball does fly when the roof is open. He is also a right-handed starter. So what can we say? He's out there. With regard to his contract status, that's a good question. Um, Merrill Kelly's contract status, as I type it in and make you guys look at me up close, his contract status is a little bit different. He signed a 2-year, $18 million contract when he was um, eligible for one with the Diamondbacks. And that contract, having trouble bringing it up, my computer's not being nice to me. I think I caught Adam's computer issues. Merrill Kelly's contract status is a 2-year, $18 million contract. And the other guy that they have that might be available from Arizona is Zach Gallen, who is having a bad year, especially for a man that has been as good as he has for as long as he's been good. He is a free agent after the season, so he's a rental. And Zach Gallen is 7-9 with a 5.15 ERA, 110 innings, 105 hits, 107 strikeouts, 43 walks. He's been giving up a lot of hard contact, and he's a free agent after this season. With regard to Merrill Kelly, he's also a free agent after this season. So the Diamondbacks could be looking to deal them, and the Yankees could have an opportunity to get a 2-for-1 deal, meaning two birds, one stone, because they'll have to give up a boatload of stuff if they want to pick up one of their starters. Looks like Kelly would be the better option right now, although Gallen is the better pitcher over the length of his career, and Suarez from the Diamondbacks. Other starting pitchers out there on the market, of course, is Sandy Alcantara, or is he Alcantara these days? He was pitching much better for a while there. He started out really, really slowly. Then he started pitching better, and now his last 3 starts have been horrendous. Once again, in his last 3 starts, 6 innings, 7 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs, 5 innings, 2 runs. Oh, I'm reading the backwards. Sorry. 5 innings, 6 runs, 6 innings, 5 runs, and 6 innings, 7 runs. After a stretch where he did pitch well, he is Sandy Alcantara, and his contract is a very favorable contract and will give the Yankees not just the remainder of this year, but 2 more years. But if I'm the Marlins, I'm not trading him because his value is low. I would take the risk, and the Marlins are playing better, so that if he does turn it around, if Alcantara does turn it around, it would help the team tremendously down the stretch as they make their run, if they are going to make a run for a potential playoff spot, even though they are still 8 games below 500, they have been playing much better baseball, especially at home. So I don't know that if I'm the Marlins, I'm trading low on Alcantara. The other guy that's available, which is also interesting, is Mitch Keller, who is from the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we have to see what kind of contract he has, what kind of situation he's under. He's under a much more hefty contract. He's got 16.9 for 26, 18.4 for 27, and 20 million for 28. The Pirates are a team that is a mess. I don't know that they really should be trading. If I was a Pirates fan and they started trading guys like Mitch Keller, I would probably jump ship, because that's just not the way you play winning baseball and have a chance to win baseball games over the course of the long haul, which is what teams are supposed to do. Even if they're not spending money, they need to be manipulating their roster in such a way that they're going to win in the long haul. But Keller at 18 million a year for the next 3 seasons, averaging it out, he's a good pitcher. Is he a stud? No, but the Yankees don't need a stud. The question is, would the Yankees spend that kind of money on a pitcher? Adam would say, yes, they need to spend that kind of money because he believes that Hal is not spending enough money. $296 million payroll. I think Hal is spending enough money. My problem is how the money is spent, and that falls to Brian Cashman. That doesn't fall to Hal. Sort of like the Nationals situation. They fired their GM and they fired their manager, but in reality, yes, their GM has not done a good job drafting, but he's done a good job. Rizzo did a good job in trading, but the players are not developing. and the players aren't developing in the minor leagues. The players they're drafting aren't coming through the system very well. So Mike Rizzo sort of had to go, even though he's been there since I think 2008. And Dave Martinez, you know what? He's been erratic. He's been there for a long time. The team's not winning. Obviously, there was no way that Rizzo could fire Martinez. He's his guy. Um, but Martinez blaming the players and and not blaming the coaches for these guys being fundamentally unsound seemed like a bad thing for Martinez to be doing. So he deserved to be fired. But ultimately in Washington, it comes down to the ownership. They don't want to spend. They've let players walk year after year after year. You have Harper walked, Soto was traded, which was a good trade for them. And they've had other guys that just they let them walk away. Anthony Rendon walking away at the time looked like a bad decision, but ended up being one of the best decisions that a team's ever made. And one of the worst decisions that the Angels ever have made was signing him to a long-term contract. But they let people walk away, and they don't develop players. So we'll have to see what happens. Right now they have Mackenzie Gore. Their bullpen is horrible. Their other starters aren't really doing anything. And they have some very good young talented players, but they're not winning any games. So from the Yankees perspective, how is it parallel to the Yankees? Well, let's see. The Yankees aren't developing their minor league players into anything spectacular, although their catchers are around the major leagues in Boston and they're in Miami. But they do have a catcher who's got 53, 54 RBIs now in Wells. So you've got the Yankees being developing catchers, but Volpe backwards. Dominguez obviously injured, starting to come around again. But fundamentally, the Yankees seem to have problems at every corner of developing their players. Um, Pereira never developed. Obviously, Peraza is struggling. Vivas has been in the system since the Joey Gallo trade. For some reason, he can hit at AAA, can't hit it at the major league level. They brought back Andrew Velasquez, who can't hit my weight. Um, Not that I'm thin, but my weight would be just above the Mendoza line, and Velasquez can't hit that. They don't seem to have anybody that's in there that comes up through the system. We'll see what happens with Jones in center field. They do have some arms and strong arms that are out there. Schmidt was a good arm that came through. Obviously, Schlittler looks good. King was a good arm that came through. They, dealt him away for Soto, which I think was worth it at the time. But the Yankees aren't developing players. They are spending money, but they're spending it poorly. Stan's contract's not awful, but Stanton getting injured at the level he's getting injured is bad. Hicks's contract was awful choice the Yankees made. Obviously, Ellsbury's contract was a terrible contract that Cashman gave him, but that's a long time ago. The Judge contract is working out, but the Yankees weren't the big bidder for him. And thankfully, quite frankly, they weren't the big bidder for Soto, and it worked out that they got Bellinger, Goldschmidt, um, among and Freed with the money that they were going to give Soto. So Cashman is a mixed bag, and the Yankees have been able to build bullpens in the past, but their bullpens is not good right now. And the fact that they are fundamentally weak, can't get a bunt down Peraza. Base running is horrendous. Volpe yesterday ran a single into an out at second base for no reason on a ball that was in front of him. Today, he almost threw away a routine ground ball. His head is in the wrong space. I mean, quite frankly, they keep defending him, but maybe he does need to go down. They don't have a replacement unless they want to bring up Lombard, who's not hitting at AA. But fundamentally, the Yankees are weak, and that comes down to the staff, either at the minor league level or the major league level, or both. And that's on Boone. I don't blame Boone solely for the lineup. I think that comes from upstairs, but we'll see what happens. So the starting pitching market is what the starting pitching market is. What would it take to get a starting pitcher? Well, it depends on who it is. Um, it's going to take Rice if you're going to get one of the top starters, especially if it's going to be one of the guys that signed like a Keller or a Alcantara. Right now, I don't think the Marlins should deal him, but it's going to take Rice to be at the top of it. Most of these teams are looking for not only controllable assets, but cheap assets. So that's going to mean prospects. So what do the Yankees have as far as prospects? Not much, quite frankly. Their prospect base is not very good. Lombard is their top prospect, and he's the only one they have that's in the top 100, and he's not even the top 10 shortstops. And he's ranked 39th in all of baseball. Spencer Jones, obviously, is hitting the ball very well at AAA. Hopefully, he's going to get back to where he was. Ben Hess is just back from injury. Bryce Cunningham is a young player that's at high A ball. They don't expect him to arrive till 27. Roderick Arias, another young infielder. He's only at low A. He's only 20 years old. He's a good prospect for them to deal. He's low A, high upside. We'll see what happens. Chase Hampton's out for the season as a pitcher with Tommy John. Obviously, he's not tradable, but the Yankees like him. Selvridge is a stud left-handed pitcher at Double A. Lane is a stud left-handed pitcher at Single A. I like Lane's 6'7" to 11 left-hander strikeout guy. Not the type of pitcher the Yankees should be dealing away. And Selvridge is similar. He's 6'3", 205. Schlittler, we saw him. That's an arm. I don't know if you really want to be dealing that arm. Obviously, Everson Pereira is a guy that they need to deal because he's done everything that can be done at AAA. Is he a quadruple A player? We don't know, but the Yankees are about to lose him, and his minor league options are up after this season, and I think his eligibility is up, and he'll become a minor league free agent. So I think he needs to be part of any package that's traded. A team might like him because he is major league ready. The question is he a major league player? Cade Smith is a right-handed pitcher that the Yankees really like as well. So they've got some arms that they can trade that are in their system. They've got some catchers that are in their system, and they've shown that they can develop catchers. Gleaning Perez is a 19-year-old catcher that is at A ball. Could be traded if somebody's looking for a low-end catcher. A team like a Baltimore will be looking for a catcher, 4 or 5 years down the road. Adley Rutschman is, going to be getting up there in years. They might want to move him over to first base at a certain point. It's clearly affecting his offense, the fact that he's doing so much catching. The other guys that the Yankees have that are out there, they have Jesus Rodriguez, who's a AAA and doing extremely well, right-handed hitting catcher. If they think that Escara is really the backup catcher, then they're going to have to deal Rodriguez because there's really no place for him to be on the team. So that's some of the things the Yankees have to give up to get some of these starting pitchers that are out there. So that's the starting pitching conversation. As far as breaking it down or tinkering, I think a tinkering is what the Yankees need. Yankee fans aren't going to tolerate it. There's a breaking down of the team. What are you going to do? You can't go back to bare bones. I mean, they've got enough guys that are under contracts that are untradeable. Guys like Stanton is untradeable. You're not going to trade Cole. You're not going to trade Fried. You could trade Rodon, but why would you want to? I mean, if you have those three guys at the top of your rotation, you really got three really, one number 1A, and then Rodon is either a 2 or a 3. Sometimes he could pitch as well as a 1. Sometimes he pitches as well as a 3. So you like that top 3. That gives them as good a pitching staff as there is in baseball. You're not going to see Schmidt until maybe September of next year at best. It's his second Tommy John. It usually takes a little bit longer to recuperate. I'm a little concerned about Heel. It seems that, every time he explodes as far as innings, he ends up getting hurt, which is the cliche that the Yankees and all other teams in baseball go by. So let's see what he has the rest of this year. But if you have a rotation going into next season of Cole, Rodon, Fried, Heel, if he's healthy, and maybe a Warren, maybe a Schlittler, and Schmidt is on the horizon, and you've got a couple of other arms in the minor leagues. You know what? Keep your strength strong. Pitching wins in the playoffs. Pitching gets teams out of slumps. And the Yankees, when they were in their big first 6-game losing streak, they weren't pitching badly at all. If anything, they were pitching excellently. And then they need to rebuild the bullpen. And I'll talk about that with Adam next week. That's all I've got for today. Anybody that would like to touch base with us, we'll be back next Thursday, if not sooner. Hopefully, Adam gets his technical difficulties straightened out. Until then, Yankees get a win they don't deserve, and they should not break it all down, but they definitely need a starter. They've got some arms and some prospects that they can deal in the low-level minor leagues, and Ben Rice needs to be their primary trade piece because I don't think he is going to be their catcher. I don't think he's that good of a catcher, and I don't know how good of a hitter is against left-handed pitching. And I'd rather have Wells, who's a definite stud defensive catcher, and even in his offseason, his stats are eerily similar to what Cal Raleigh was as a young catcher. He's going to hit in the low 20s as far as home runs. He's going to knock in 70 to somewhere between 70 and 90 runs, and he's going to hit 220. You know what? If you get that out of your catcher and he's a stud defensive catcher and the pitchers like throwing to them, more power to you. So that's it for now. Speak to you guys next time on Yankees Coast to Coast.